live on Wednesday, August 5th. This is Life in the Fast Lane, your weekly NASCAR and Formula One handicapping show. And I say that because we're going to have a little Formula One bonus at the end. And Andy Lamb, be sure to remind me that we have a Formula One bonus at the end today.
I will.
As it will be the first time. Well, the second time. You mentioned a little bit the other week. But yeah, we're going to look at the Michigan races, plural, Saturday, Sunday doubleheader. And we haven't had practice sessions, guys. That's been the bad news. But the good news is we're going to have a Michigan race to look at for Sunday because it's going to happen Saturday. It's going to be like a practice session. So we'll get into that here in a few minutes. First, I want to bring in my two expert NASCAR handicappers, as always, Rocky Atkinson from sportsmemo.com, Andy Lang from wagertalk.com. And by the way, viewers out there, there's a very simple promo code that works for all of us this week. And by the way, viewers, I am at wagertalk.com now. I had my first 5% NBA play of the year, outright winner with the Blazers last night on Tuesday. So special thank you to everybody out there that did join me last night on Tuesday for that 5%er. And we'll have baseball and basketball each day going forward at wagertalk.com. But for any of us, or really for all of us, you get a full week, 7 days for just $69. And that's all sports. You do the math. That's less than $10 a day. That 5%er last night that I released paid for itself. I had some smart clients get on board and get that $69 special. Why pay $40 for a 5% play? Why pay $25 for all the other games when you get everything for $69? That includes Andy's golf and NASCAR, Formula One he's going to mention here on the show. Rocky, you do hockey, baseball, basketball, NASCAR as well at sportsmemo.com. The promo code is WEEK69, WEEK 69, WEEK69. And you get a full 7 days all sports from any and all cappers that you want, unlimited. You can mix and match however you'd like. Andy Lang, wagertalk.com, Rocky Atkinson, sportsmemo.com, and myself, Steve Merril, also wagertalk.com. Week 6-9, fantastic value for a full week of all sports for $69 from each and every handicapper. Andy, I'll start with you this week because Rocky had a monster week, so I'm going to make him wait a second. Andy, how did you do overall at New Hampshire? What were your thoughts?
I get no respect on this show. I went undefeated as well.
Well, I'll be honest, Andy. I didn't know what your record was, but Rocky, I believe you were 4-0 and a free winner. It was like 4 or 5-0, so I figured it was hard to top that. So maybe you tied him.
Yeah, well, okay. So Rocky and I were actually talking about this. So combined between this show and our client picks, we went 8-0. Okay,
awesome.
And we did not overlap one pick.
Awesome.
Which is really incredible. We're just laughing. We both kind of have some different styles of handicapping, and they both work. By the way, Dave Koken, a friend of ours, he said this is probably the best promo Wager Talk has ever run. I'd have to agree. $69 for you. So if you get mine or Rockies, you get 2 NASCAR races for that, as well as the hockey. We've got a major this week in golf. You've got NBA going on. Like $69 for a week is a ton of bets, a ton. And for us coming off of an 8-0 week, and Steve, you're starting to fire up NBA. It's a hell of a promo. So
yeah, and Andy, the thing is, it's not like it's for one person. You can't use it again. You can use it for yourself. You could use it for Rocky. You can use it for myself. You could use it for Dave Koken, as you mentioned. I mean, basically, it's $119 a week, so you're saving $50. You get it for $69. It's almost half price. So you could get Andy Lang and Rocky Atkinson. It's almost a 2-for-1 special. And as these guys said, they went 8-0 combined last week. Rocky, not to steal your thunder, what were you, 4-0? Did that include the free play, or was it 5-0 with the free play?
5-0 with the free play.
Here we go. I don't want to cheat you out of another win. So yeah, the viewers here swept the board with the free plays, and then not only did Rocky give you a free winner, but you won another 4-0 at sportsmemo.com. Rocky, what were your thoughts? And I'll get back to you too, Andy. But Rocky, what were your thoughts on New Hampshire overall? It's a flat 1 mile track. Keselowski pretty much dominated at least from my perspective.
Yeah, New Hampshire, another exciting race in my opinion. Kind of reminded me of maybe not a Bristol, but maybe a Martinsville. A little bit of banging going on. Denny Hamlin, he won stage 1. Keselowski won stage 2. Keselowski won the overall race. Hamlin and Keselowski dominated the race. Those were the 2 drivers to beat here. Keselowski led 184 laps while Hamlin led 92. Kyle Busch, he had trouble early getting into the wall for his first DNF ever at New Hampshire. So his bad luck continues. DNF, that means did not finish. So in his entire career, he's always finished a race at New Hampshire until this past weekend. Also, Matt Kenseth, he had a tough day. We had a couple Gibbs cars finish top 10, a couple Penske cars top 10, a couple Stewart-Haas cars top 10. So no one team really dominated this race. Again, overall, fairly exciting race. I was thankful no caution came out late in the race that was going to mess everything up, as I was perfect 4-0 with my premium picks for, I'm not going to say 100% of the race, but for most of the race we were winning. And sometimes when that late caution comes out, it can scare you, and teams have different strategies, and it can mess everything up. But thankfully, nobody ran out of gas, and no caution came out. Incredible week for me and my clients.
Yeah, and Rocky, you were a little fortunate that you didn't get screwed over, because some big name drivers did have trouble early in the race, and we'll get to the Ricky Stenhouse Jr. unforced error of the award for the race in a little bit. But obviously, Kyle Busch has to be an instant nominee at lap 6. Jimmy Johnson had trouble. Logano in the pits had trouble with the hose. So, some of the big name contenders that we had mentioned that run well there did have issues. Andy Keselowski's as steady as they come, though. Kevin Harvick as steady as they come. And Denny Hamlin, we can almost start saying, is as steady as they come now. And those are really guys who are up front most of the day and at the end.
Yeah. I mentioned these guys, and here they are, all top 10 again. Harvick, Almirola, and Cole Custer. 3 top 10 finishes again. I mean, they are absolutely on fire, and we'll get to them at Michigan. Brad looked great. I lost the win stage 1 and 2 by half a car length. So
wow,
he won the first stage, and then he finished second right behind Brad in the on the second stage. I was just couldn't believe it. I smacked my hands, and my wife was like, "What is going on in here?" I was like, Hamlin didn't win the damn stage. So, but yeah, and Kyle Busch, I mean, 2020 has been rough for a lot of people, but man, in the sports world, Kyle Busch has just got to be, it's brutal. And I'm betting against him. I mean, my first play I made last week for clients was Martin Truex versus Kyle Busch. And Truex had a great race, finished 3rd, but they just cannot get that car set up right. And it's just week after week after week. And I mean, not only is this not his year, he's really, really bad. It's brutal. I mean, I don't even consider him a contender anymore. I don't think of him in those top tier guys just because of the bad luck. So yeah, he's fade material for sure.
I was going to say, are we finally off the Kyle Busch bandwagon? I mean, we keep saying we need to see something from him before we trust him. And I know, Rocky, you'd mentioned he runs really well at New Hampshire. We talked about it last week. Is this enough for maybe to keep you off him going forward until you see him maybe actually win a race?
I'm going to still handicap the same way I always do. I look at past history. Kyle Busch is usually good at most tracks. But I am going to keep him at arm's length, probably, moving forward.
It's interesting to kind of cross sports reference here. I do the baseball show on the weekends, First Pitch, which, by the way, First Pitch will be coming up after this, 2 p.m. Eastern, live Monday through Friday. Andrew McGinnis does a great job during the weekdays, and then Matt Josephs takes over on the weekends. Saturday, Sunday, we have a noon Eastern show. So for all of you viewers out there that are jonesing from some Wager Talk TV on the weekends, we do have a live baseball show every Saturday and Sunday now at noon Eastern. And it's normally 2 p.m. Eastern weekdays following us here live. And then, of course, 3 p.m. Eastern weekdays, Monday through Friday, I'm hosting the NBA tip-off show. So we've got Fast Lane here on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's our new time. And then we're going to have baseball 2 p.m. Eastern every day, basketball 3 p.m. Eastern, and then weekends noon Eastern for baseball. I bring that up because in the baseball show, we keep talking about these ice-cold offenses, Indians, A's, Pirates. Teams are batting like 190 for the season. And I said the other day, the Indians have, will they turn things around? Will the A's turn things around? And I tell people, look, I'm not going to try to guess which one game they turn things around because, yeah, they're going to win a game. They're going to hit the ball. But they could lose another 5 in a row. It's just like Kyle Busch. I'm not going to try to guess at this point when he's going to get that win, and he probably will. And it'll be when none of us like him in a couple weeks, most likely. But we keep saying he's going off as the 3rd favorite every week. It's 6 or 7 to 1. The only 2 guys that have lower odds than him every week, basically, are Harvick and Hamlin. And they have, 9 wins combined. Hamlin almost got another one. Harvick could have gotten one. So you're talking about guys with 9 wins that are going off a couple points lower than Kyle Busch. So, yeah, there's just no value. He could win any given week. He could. I don't know if he could dominate because we haven't seen it, but he could definitely win a race. But, yeah, Andy, I mean, it's hard to trust him. What were some other thoughts from New Hampshire? I mean, did it play out like you thought? And one of the reasons I want to bring out New Hampshire, even though it's a flat track, 1 mile doesn't translate to a lot of others. The only other similar track is Phoenix, and that's the championship deciding race in November. So, Andy, any takeaways maybe that you'll apply to Phoenix later this year?
Yeah, we saw we see this thing with no practice that one guy gets the setup or two guys get the setup, and it's off to the races. And Brad, I mean, once he got out front, I mean, he was dominant by far, and teams just couldn't even make the in race adjustments to keep up with him. And we keep seeing this week after week after week. And Michigan is a track somebody's going to nail and run away with this. Harvick, Hamlin, Blaney's done it. Brad can do it. Even Logano, outside shot of it. Truex can do it. But this is a track that is really big, high banks. The setup can be tricky, and I expect to see another race where one guy gets the setup and everyone else is kind of fighting for second. Brad was absolutely great on the restarts. I thought he was just a master. He controlled all of them. Nobody was really pushing him. It was one of the better performances I've seen from the restart. I mean, Harvick and Hamlin have had their moments, but I thought Brad was just in a league of his own.
Yeah, and Rocky, one thing that's interesting about this is I would say that Harvick and Hamlin are almost locked into that Final Four. They're going to have so many bonus points going in, I would think. And they were both very strong at New Hampshire. Harvick's been dominant at Phoenix over his career, and Hamlin's been good on these tracks. So, those are two guys that obviously are going to be in championship contention, but we have to throw Keselowski in. He's a savvy veteran. He always finishes top 5 or 10. He's going to be high in the points going in. He's got some wins now. And if he's in that Final Four, he could very well sneak away with the championship this year, guys. He would have won the championship this past weekend had that been Phoenix. Rocky, any other takeaways for you from New Hampshire, maybe going forward to a flat track like Phoenix later this year?
Well, you got to keep in mind all the similar tracks, of course, and New Hampshire being one similar to Phoenix. So we'll be looking at those results and calculating those in with the past history of the Phoenix race itself.
Rocky, too, what's interesting is going back to Phoenix, I believe Logano won that race, didn't he, in the spring, the earlier one?
I believe he did.
So you're talking about teammates here, Keselowski and Logano, that have both run well at the 2 flat 1 mile tracks this year. Wouldn't that be something if Logano sneaks into the Final Four and wins another championship? He did that a couple years ago at Homestead. He was the 4th guy looking in. Baylor made the Final Four and ends up winning the race he went off as the underdog to the other 3 drivers. That's the one thing I don't like about the format. But then again, in all other sports, Super Bowl, NCAA tournament, it's all one and done. So it's not like that's unusual. The best guys don't always win it. Before we get to the Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Award, once again, that promo, week 6-9, wagertalk.com for Andy Lang, sportsmemo.com for Rocky Atkinson, wagertalk.com for myself, Steve Merril, and you can use it for all 3 of us. You can basically get 3 weeks worth of picks in 7 days. It's a fantastic value. And what's great is not only do we have different picks, different styles of handicap, and as Andy mentioned, Rocky and Andy were 8-0 combined in NASCAR last week on the show in the best bets, and not a single overlap. So yes, folks, that was 8-0. Your bankroll would have seen an 8-0 improvement. Andy does golf. Andy does NASCAR. Rocky does NASCAR. Rocky does hockey. I do basketball and baseball. I mean, we all cover different sports, and it's just tremendous value. Wagertalk.com for Andy and myself. Sportsmemo.com for Rocky Atkinson. Rocky, I'll start with you for the Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Unforced Error of the Race Award. I'll throw out some brief ones you guys can expand on it. Kyle Busch, is it an unforced error when he didn't cut his tire, but he hit the wall, and it's a team thing? I will say this, I did seem like Goodyear was having some problems. I did see some tire issues throughout the race, but, once again, that's an unforced error in my book, and just the fact Kyle Busch has just struggled all year, we have to throw that one out. His lap 6, I believe. Jimmy Johnson early on the race had trouble. Joey Logano was the one, I believe, that ran over the hose in the pits. They showed right after that Denny Hamlin's team tapes the hose against the wall so it doesn't happen. Logano's a championship driver, but that's what I'm talking about Hamlin. Hamlin's getting to that stage now with Harvick and Keselowski where he doesn't make mistakes anymore, and he had that prevented something that ended up getting Logano. Rocky, what were some of your nominees and thoughts?
I definitely agree with you on the Kyle Busch nominee. He crashed early on, took it behind the wall, got a dead last finish. like we said earlier, it was his first DNF of his career at New Hampshire. His bad luck this season continues. Another nominee, I think, Matt Kenseth, had to start. He had to go to the rear of the field to start the race for failing inspection. Lap 179, he spun out. Lap 96, he spun out. Lap 204, he spun out again. He finally had enough, went behind the wall. I mean, he seemed very frustrated with his crew. They were clearing the tire from rubbing after his first spin there, cutting the tire down. He was frustrated. Actually, I think he got a new crew chief now after this past race. So we need to keep an eye on that moving forward for sure. One other nominee, Darrell Wallace Jr. Is my nominee this week. Richard Enterprises, he offered this guy part ownership. What are y'all doing? Darrell, I won't call him Bubba Wallace, is a terrible driver. Yeah. His average finish in his career is 23.1. He has only 2 top 5 finishes, 7 top 10 finishes in 96 career cup races.
Wow.
He has only led 24 laps in his cup career.
Wow.
What the world is this team thinking? And Darrell said he had other offers on the table and didn't know if he would take this one. Oh, my.
I'll tell you what, Rocky, he's the Danica Patrick of NASCAR. I mean, I've said it all along. Look at Danica. She was in the 10 car. Look who's in the 10 car now. Look how many weeks in a row he said Eric Almirola is one of the top drivers right now in the circuit. Same team, same car, totally different results. And I honestly don't think the 43 team is as strong as like Harvick's, like the Haas Stewart Racing, but wouldn't you love to see another driver get in that 43 and see what they do, like the Benedetto, for example? I don't think Bubba Wallace would do what he's doing with the 21 car. Yeah, Bubba is in a good situation. Hey, I will say this, though. NASCAR is more about marketing than anything. And right now he's a hot commodity, and he's in the public limelight. So he is worth some value from that perspective. But, wow, that's great stats, Rocky. I'm going to use that, by the way, on other shows I do, because I keep talking about how he's overrated. 2 top 5s ever. And how many laps? He said 20-some? I mean, it's just insane. What was it, 24 or 20? What was it, Rocky?
24.
Wow, 24 laps led, 90-some races, 2 top 5s. Andy, you and I have better stats than that, I think.
Well, Bubba got sent to the back of the field. Did you guys hear why? Did you hear this?
No.
The ballast rears its ugly head. He had an improper ballast, the tungsten ballast.
I was going to say that's the tungsten, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Chemical, I forget I knew the chemical symbol a few weeks ago.
So now it didn't fall out, thank God. But yeah, they had to get under and mess around. As soon as I heard ballast, I thought, oh my God, here we go again. I did chuckle at Joey Logano's the air hose gets caught, and then they cut over to Denny Hamlin's pit, and the announcer was just like completely throwing shade on Joey Logano. He's like, in Hamlin's pit, they covered it up to prevent things like what Joey Logano just did. Like, it just completely assassinated him and threw him under the bus. Because it's the Ricky Stenhouse Jr. award, I have 2 from Formula One that I'll save for the end. But I mean, Formula One had fireball fences in it on the last. Steve, Rocky, and I came up with one that you're not aware of.
Uh-oh.
And I think we're going to give it to ourselves. Me and Rocky have decided we're giving it to ourselves. Do you know we went 8-0 and not one of us faded Alex Bowman? And we would have won both bets if we would have just faded Alex Bowman with Jimmy Johnson or William Byron. We have been fading Alex Bowman, and we spaced it. We went 8-0. Could have been 10-0. What were we thinking?
It's funny, Andy. He dominated California earlier this year, which is the 2-mile sister track from Michigan. So I was going to bring up Bowman, make sure we bring him up in a few minutes when we talk about Michigan, because I don't think we want to fade him this week just because he was so strong. But you guys have been on the Bowman, anti-Bowman train. He looked good at Darlington in May. It kept me off him for weeks, and you guys made some easy money when I was on the sidelines, afraid to fade him. So I'm glad to see you all got a little bit of my curse there. You didn't go, although, hey, you can't complain about 8-0, right? I mean, 8-0 is 8-0.
Yeah, you can't, but Rocky will vouch for this. Like, we remember our wins, but we also remember our losses, and that was just money we left on the table. That was frustrating. But
yeah, and when you don't use a guy or don't use a team, you're really rooting to lose that almost. So you're probably Bowman would win the damn race at that point. I know that is.
Yeah.
So I mean, what do you got? We got a lot of good nominees. We'll throw it to the chat room. We got another 20-some minutes to go here, so we'll throw it to the chat room. Let's let them churn it around. Viewers, listeners, if you're joining us live, our new time, Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. This is another bonus for watching us live every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern going forward, rest of the NASCAR season. Wager Talk TV, live on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope. And then, of course, you can always catch the replay, and most people do. Because, hey, guys, some people have real jobs at 1 o'clock Eastern on Wednesday, and they don't get the handicap.
It's a real job.
I know.
This is a job.
Damn good job, though. Talking NASCAR, middle of the week. You got to like it. But yeah, hey, viewers, listeners out there, let us know what you think. I mean, what do you guys, Andy? Give me your final. I was gonna say 3, but I'll get 2 from each of you. Andy, give me your top 2 nominees for this week.
Well, Jesse brought up that we had to throw in Eric Jones, and just getting off to the horrible start. It was really profitable for Rocky, but Eric Jones just had a horrible race. He starts off a lap down when he has that penalty. So I think Kenseth wrecking multiple times and just noticing here giving up was really funny. So I'm going to nominate that one. Us not fading Bowman in the head-to-head matchups. And, oh, man. I mean, Bubba Wallace with the improper ballast and getting offered ownership.
Yeah, I wasn't
pretty good.
Yeah.
And I like different. I like unique. And I think that one is pretty unique. So I'm going to go with Kenseth and his multiple wrecks, us not fading Bowman, and Bubba Wallace and the ownership and the ballast.
So Rocky, give me 2 or 3 of your top, and then I'll kind of narrow them down. We'll throw them out to the viewers. So what do you think, Rocky? Which ones? So Andy, you basically have Kenseth. You've got Kenseth. I'll say Kenseth. I'll say Kenseth and Bubba Wallace. And I know, Rocky, you might have Wallace, so we might have a little bit of a lead now. So what do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking I like Kenseth and Bubba Wallace too.
Okay, well, I'll throw those 2 into the chat then. And by the way, I'm doing this live from a new system. I realize when I chat, guys, it's coming from Wager Talk TV. I feel like I'm the studio. So if I do it from YouTube, it's Steve Merril. But viewers out there, when I'm chiming in this Wager Talk, it's actually me. So I'm going to put it here right now. We're going to do Kenseth, and we're going to do Bubba Wallace. And viewers, let's start voting. That's our final 2 here. And they're both damn good nominees. And I believe they both had green cars, if I'm not mistaken. I know Kenseth had a green car in the 42. I think Wallace had a green car again this week, the 43. And
he ended with a dented car.
Sheet metal gray by the end of the race, right?
Yes.
But it's funny because I never knew until a few years ago why you used to never see green. Like you see it now, Kyle Busch. Actually, Labonte was probably the first about 20 years ago, ran the interstate batteries that won the championship. But throughout racing, and Andy, I know you have a big racing background. You do too, Rocky. Green apparently is bad luck. At least it was back in the day. And you would never see green like in the 70s or 80s or 90s. So I find it very ironic that our 2 nominees were nice green. And green's my favorite color of money, boys. But, it was not the color of money this week for the 42 and the 43. What are your thoughts on that, Andy?
I've not heard that about.
Oh, okay. I'll have to double check it. That's what I've been told from
I'm
some
not
of the.
saying you're wrong, but
yeah.
I have not heard that. Kenseth is running away with this in the chat room, by the way. So,
well, you sold it so well. I mean, I pictured an injured deer just trying to get back up and then just quitting.
It was really funny. So
Kenseth all the way. Yeah, we're getting a lot of Kenseth love. It's what's not funny is that we kind of mentioned him as a dark horse last week. And what was he? 45, 50 to 1. I mean, we all, Rocky, Andy, and myself, we all mentioned him. And he had run well at Indy, he had run well at Pocono. And he did not run well at New Hampshire. So are we not going to have any future tickets on him to win it all now?
No.
To sneak into the Final Four at Phoenix?
No, we're not.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's get to Michigan because Michigan is kind of a cookie cutter, but it's bigger. It's a 2-mile. So I'm curious how you guys are looking at this. We do have the data from California, Fontana, back before the shutdown, back in early March. Alex Bowman ran away with that race, dominated it. I think he won both stages. Andy, will you look at a stage 1-2 winner here? I mean, it does kind of apply. We talked about the 1.5 miles where it's been about 80% this year. It was 83% until Andy used it on the show and played it. And now it's maybe only 75% at plus 600 every week. So not bad. But for viewers that are new to the show, DraftKings is really the one we find it on. They have a will someone win stage 1 and stage 2, pretty much plus 600 every week, minus 1,200 on the no. Andy did some great research a few weeks ago at the last mile and a half we were on. It had cashed 5 out of 6, and it did not cash there, but I believe Kyle Busch was one of the stage winners, so a little bit of a random thing there.
And he finished first and third in the stage. And then last week, Hamlin won the stage and finished right behind Brad. So the bets are good. I will continue to do it. Michigan, this is a great one to play this one at. Someone nails that setup and we don't have a whole lot of cautions. Yeah, I can see someone running out in front. So
and didn't Bowman win 1 and 2? I believe I'll pull it up here real quick in a minute, but I believe Bowman won stages 1 and 2. Rocky, I'll throw it over to you first here for a little bit more on Michigan. How much do you take away from the California race? We, of course, had practice sessions back then. So the drivers like Kyle Busch, who benefit from practice, were able to tune in. He still didn't win that track. He was, by the way, guys, at Phoenix earlier with practice sessions. Busch was 5th and 5th, Kyle Busch, earlier this year. Didn't win that race either. So I really don't think I can use Kyle Busch this week. It's not even one of his better tracks, so he's off for me. Rocky, maybe who's a top 3 driver you're looking at, and some general thoughts on Michigan?
We'll be looking at track history again here at Michigan, track type, hot drivers, and that's pretty much how I handicap these races. First off, I'm going to mention Kevin Harvick again. Seems like every week I'm bringing him up here on the show. Harvick has 3 wins, 13 top 5 finishes, 19 top 10 finishes in his 38 races here in Michigan. His average finish 11.7 at this track. Very good again. He has led 517 laps here in Michigan, which is 3rd best over the past 3 years or 6 races. He has 2 wins, 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s. His average finish 6.3 at this track over the past 6 races. On wide 2-mile speedways, Harvick has 1 win, 4 top 10s his past 4 races, and an average finish of 5.3 on those top tracks. Over the past 10 races overall, Harvick has 2 wins and 8 top 10 finishes, an average finish of 7.3, which is the best among all drivers.
Yeah, and what's interesting, Rocky, is I said Kyle Busch not as good on this track, but guess who has the best average finish the last 6 races at Michigan? Kyle Busch. But he hasn't won any of those. But he's been top 10 all 6. He's only won once in 30 starts, by the way, at Michigan in his career. So that's why I kind of said it's not one of his best tracks, but he's still got the best damn average finish the last 3 years. But I think it's enough to keep me off him this week from what we've seen. Harvick dominant always on cookie cutters. Andy, do you consider this a cookie cutter? I mean, it's an intermediate speedway, but it's a 2-mile intermediate speedway. California is the only other one like that. All the others we consider are 1.5 miles. How much do you look at these recent races like Atlanta, Homestead, or do you look more at California?
I do a little combo. I don't consider it a true cookie cutter. It's bigger, and the banks are just way different. Passing is way different. At Michigan, you can. I mean, it's so wide. This track is so wide that the bottom groove is so far away from the top groove. Passes can take laps to develop. It's not one of these tracks where you can just blow by somebody in a turn. I mean, you may start. You may catch up to a guy's bumper on lap 50, and you may not get around him until lap 55, just because it takes so much real estate and there's so much effort going into those turns. So I'll look at some of the other tracks. I'll look at the cookie cutters. I'll also look at California, and I do look at Pocono in Indianapolis just to see if anything jumps out. Harvick, it's impossible to talk about this track without Harvick. Last year, Martin Truex, best average finish at this track. He finished 3rd both races. He finished 3rd last week at New Hampshire. Cashed an easy one with him over Kyle Busch. I'm not saying that I'm going to bet Martin Truex over Kyle Busch this week, but the odds would say I will probably bet on Martin Truex over Kyle Busch. The last 4 winners at Michigan have been Fords. This is traditionally a Ford track. In fact, Kyle Larson, the only non-Ford winner to win since June of 2015. So if you're looking at playing outright winners, look at the Fords.
Yeah, and this can also become a fuel mileage race because it is a long 2-mile track, as you mentioned, just like Pocono and Indianapolis can become fuel mile races. So there is some similarities there. Of course, as you said, Andy, Pocono, Indy, long but flatter, so a little bit of a difference, but they are big horsepower tracks that Ford have done well at. By the way, one of the best fuel mileage racers in my book, I think the best, is Keselowski, and he's in good form, obviously. And Harvick is the guy we always mention is a great strategy guy as well. And Rocky, you brought him up. I really have to say the third best strategy guy now, and like I said at the top of the show, is Hamlin. He's found a way to be consistent and be smart as he's gotten older in his career. And if you look at the 2-mile tracks the last 3 years, we have 10 races now, California and Michigan combined. Hamlin's got the 4th best average finish, Keselowski the 3rd best, Truex 2nd best, Kyle Busch 1st best. But I think we're kind of all agreeing, at least, Andy and I so far have agreed that we're keeping Kyle Busch off this week. So it'd be Truex, Keselowski, and Hamlin right after that as far as the best finishes recently. By the way, before I forget, Andy, I pulled it up. Alex Bowman won Stage 1, finished 2nd in Stage 2 at California, won the race. But here's what's even better. Ryan Blaney finished 19th in the race, but he finished 2nd in Stage 1 and 1st in Stage 2.
Oh, wow.
So the only reason we didn't have a sweep is because Blaney and Bowman went 2-1, 1-2. So it just shows how, 6-1, guys. So, Andy Lang basically has given out a free winner already for all the viewers, is if you can get Stage 1 and 2, same winner, anything at plus money, even close to plus 600, plus 500, plus 400, it's a play. Rocky, who's another driver you're looking at here at Michigan for this weekend? We got Saturday and Sunday, back-to-back races.
Looking at Brad Keselowski, you just mentioned him. Just incredible with fuel mileage. He hasn't won here in his career, but he has run good. He's got 6 top 5 finishes, 11 top 10 finishes in 21 races here in Michigan. Average finish is 11.9 at this track, which is right behind Harvick. Over the past 3 years here, he has no wins, 1 top 5, 3 top 10. His average finish over those 6 races is 11th. Over the past 3 races overall, Keselowski has 1 win, 3 top 10 finishes with an average finish of 4th, which is the best among all drivers right now. So he's the hottest driver over the past 3 races.
Yeah, and he does have 1 win, I believe, at California. He's got 1 win in 33 starts on the 2-mile tracks. So I like that he hasn't won in Michigan. A lot of times we worry about that letdown after a big win. But the fact he doesn't have a win at Michigan, I think he stays hungry. We've seen that from guys like Harvick. Where'd he go earlier this year? Was it Pocono, guys, that he had never won? And he'd always been 2nd or hadn't won recently. He was excited about one of those wins recently. I think it was Pocono for Harvick. And then, of course, at Atlanta, he'd had all those near misses, and he had a dominant race. Harvick did. So Keselowski, once again, is in that same category as Harvick, just consistent. And if he's got any motivation from never winning on the track, I think that's actually a good thing. Andy, who's somebody else you're looking at maybe as a contender here, and then we'll get to some dark horses.
Well, I'm going to throw out this, guys. Michigan, the big boys just shine here. The best cars and the best teams are always going to finish up at the front. I'm going to mention Cole Custer. We mentioned he had another good run. Something has really clicked with that team. And last year in 2 Michigan races, Daniel Suarez, who was driving for this team, finished 5th and 4th. So that team, there's something about this track that they really like. I would look to play Cole Custer at top 10 props. It's a little frustrating for Rocky and myself because the books are not releasing matchups as early as they used to. So if you're going to follow our picks, just honestly get our packages and you'll get an email notification as soon as we make them. But there's only a few bets out. I'll be looking to play Custer. I'm sure they're going to put him against Almirola because the books are evil like that. But I'll be looking at Cole Custer.
And I was going to say, Andy Shreed.
Rocky, did we lose Steve?
Yeah.
All right. Steve, are you with us, buddy? All right, we'll jump in here for now until Steve's camera kicks back on. Rocky, do you have any dark horses? We're going to talk about maybe some long shots.
Yeah, I got one more driver I want to mention first as far as top 3.
Oh, yeah. Knock it. Yeah, let's hear it.
Elliott, he hasn't won here, but he's run good here. 3 top 5 finishes, 7 top 10 finishes in 8 races here in Michigan. He has the best average finish of all active drivers at 7.6 here at this track.
Oh, nice.
But over the past 3 years, no wins, 1 top 5, 5 top 10 finishes, average finish of 9.5 his last 6 races in Michigan. So I'm definitely looking at Chase Elliott, hopefully in maybe a matchup later on this week. Long shot to win. We talked about him earlier, and he's one of our Ricky Stenhouse Jr. nominees. And we said we probably wouldn't play on him, but I'm looking at Matt Kenseth. He seemed very frustrated at the end of when he come out the race with his team. I think they're going to try to get on the same page here. I think they made a move with the crew chief there. And Kenseth hasn't done bad here. He has 3 wins, 14 top 5 finishes, 20 top 10 finishes in 34 races here in Michigan. Average finish 11.3 at this track, which is second best among all active drivers. That's ahead of Harvick. That's ahead of Keselowski. It's right behind Chase Elliott.
Nice.
And Kenseth has led 443 laps here in Michigan, which is 5th best.
Oh, that's awesome. Good stuff.
Long shot here on Matt Kenseth.
I like it. If I have to throw out a long shot, I don't know, does Kurt Busch count? I was noticing he's pretty sneaky good here. Average run under green laps the last 6 races is top 10. He's running 9th. He hasn't done a lot of damage the last few races, but he's a guy that is going to break out of a slump, and he's going to come out of nowhere at some point. I don't see this restart ending without Kurt Busch having a win. He's too good. His team's too good, and I could see him maybe being towards the front if we got some fuel issues, or he does a pretty good pit stop. I've been a little disappointed with him, which means you're probably going to get some good value on a guy like that. You're not going to keep him down for forever. So, Steve, you back with us?
Yeah, I am back, and I think the sports books cut me off because when you said Cole Custer, I was looking at the group matchups, and he is dead last underdog in a group of 4 with Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, and Austin Dillon. You get him at 3-1 there, Andy. And I don't think the powers that be wanted me to give that information out, but I'm giving it out before they come. They're getting me good now. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you're getting him as an underdog against just 3 other drivers who are very inconsistent. I'll tell you, I heard you guys give out some underdogs. Here's something that jumped out to me, and I want to mention it before I forget it. But Matt Kenseth, by the way, is running away. He's lapped Bubba Wallace. So as long as he doesn't hit the wall and crash a few more times, I think he's going to win the Stenhouse Award this week. But do we play on him this week as a long shot once again? Kyle Larson.
Yeah, he just Rocky just went over that actually.
Oh, did he? Okay, yeah. I heard you guys mention a few. Because I'm with you, Rocky. I mean, Kyle Larson dominated these tracks. These were like Kyle Larson's best tracks, California and Michigan. So we know the 42 team knows how to win here. He's with that team now. He took over for Larson. And Kenseth's got 8 wins on the 2-mile tracks in his career, 3rd best average finish. I know it's not the same Kenseth, but he likes these tracks, and he's in a team and a car that can win here. And Andy, what gives me a little more confidence with that is the fact that you mentioned you're looking a little bit at Pocono and Indianapolis, and those are tracks where Kenseth outperformed this year. So yeah, Rocky, I didn't hear you mention that one because the sports books hadn't let me back on yet, but that's awesome. And yeah, I mean, wouldn't it be ironic too that he wins the Stenhouse Jr. Award race, and then he goes out and wins this? Andy, we need to do some research on that. We need to see how guys do the week after they win the award. If the bounce back do theory plays anything there.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I predict Bubba Wallace coming in second will not come in second in the race, so I don't think it's going to apply there.
That's great.
I'm trying to pull up the top 10s too. Custer's 100-1, by the way. Cole Custer 100-1 to win outright. But I like 3-1 in a group against Bell, Reddick, Dillon. Rocky, anything else you're looking at here for Michigan favorites, dark horses? If not, and get to a matchup that we might have.
Yeah, head-to-head matchup. I'm gonna go with Kevin Harvick. It's -150, which is kind of my cutoff over Ryan Blaney here. I mentioned a lot about Harvick. 3 wins, 13 top 5s, 19 top 10s, 38 races here in Michigan. Average finish 11.7. Hottest driver over the past 10 races overall, with an average finish 7.3, 8 top 10s out of those 10 races, along with 2 wins. Blaney, he hasn't won here. Only 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s, and 10 races here in Michigan. Average finish of 15.5 at this track, which is kind of on the other side of what we want as far as like a play-on driver. I think anything like 13, 14 or below as far as career average is good. He's only led 19 laps here in Michigan, so I don't think this is one of Blaney's good tracks. So I'm going to play Harvick over Blaney in this one.
I'm definitely not going to play against Harvick, but I'll tell you, Blaney could be a little bit of a dark horse for me. It's someone I was going to mention earlier, just when I said he finished stages 1 and 2, top 2 in stages 1 and 2 at California before kind of a misleading 19th place finish. So that'd be my only concern there. And I do think Blaney's been as fast as anybody. But, yeah, Rocky, as far as consistency goes, it's night and day with Harvick and Blaney. And you've done extremely well in NASCAR this year. You've done extremely well in NASCAR every year. And, you've used Harvick a lot times over guys, and I was riding guys like Bowman earlier this year that just couldn't get it together. And I like Blaney. I think he's been as fast as anybody, but boy, is he inconsistent. So yeah, you've got the savvy veteran against a fast youth. Andy, quickly, what are your thoughts on that? Because I definitely am not going to play that one because I don't want to go against Harvick, but I think Blaney actually could be strong here. Thoughts on that one, Andy?
Yeah, when he's Blaney's a guy that's either going to run top 3 or he's going to be back in like 18th or 19th. So you're kind of getting a little feast or famine with it. But Harvick's obviously the play there. He's so good at this track. So I would take Harvick and the crew's ability to get that car set up on a track they're really, really familiar with. They haven't raced this, cramming both Michigan races into one weekend. So Blaney and his team are going to be setting it up for the first time this year, whereas Harvick can just go back to all of his years' experience and with the same crew, and they're going to know how to get a setup. So I'd look for a strong start from Harvick. I know we're running out of time. I'll give away my free pick. We've already gone over it. It's Martin Truex over Kyle Busch. Truex was great here last year, and I'm just going to keep betting against the guy that cannot get out of his own way. It's crazy to bet against him, but I just feel like one of the ways to make money in betting NASCAR is jump on guys that are just in a funk and ride the wave for 5 or 6 weeks. If you can cash 5 or 6 weeks in a row, man, that just pads your stats at the end of the season. It gets you a bunch of units. And Truex looked sneaky 3rd place finish last week. He looked good. And God, I just, I don't need a whole lot of analysis for it. Kyle's just really bad right now. They just cannot get any momentum going. And even if they do get momentum going in that car, it's still Martin Truex. Like, it's still a top driver,
can win the race.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So can I do my Formula One real quick?
Yeah, I was going to say, let's get to Formula One. I had not forgotten. Official winner, by the way, I think, is Matt Kenseth.
Yes. Kenseth wins the Stenhouse.
So you can put that down in ink, not pencil, ink. All right, Andy, what are you looking at in F1 here? By the way, how did the one you mentioned the other week, Hamilton, turn out? You said he was minus 200. If he gets the pole, he'd go minus 600.
That's what we're going to talk about. Yeah, they were racing at Silverstone, his home track. He gets on the pole. It didn't drop to 500. It dropped to minus 350, minus 400 for him to win. Completely horrible, boring race, as most of these are. And it was really bad. And he's running first place, way out ahead. His teammate is in second, way out ahead. And Max Verstappen and the Red Bulls way back in third. I almost turned it off. And with 2 laps to go, second place, Hamilton's teammate blows a tire.
Wow.
And has to come into the pits, gives up the lead. So if you're in third place and you're 18 seconds behind the first place and the teammate has just blown a tire, you have one chance to win the race. Stay out and hope it happens to Lewis Hamilton. Red Bull inexplicably punts on the win and brings Verstappen in on the second to last lap to get fresh tires so he can go for the fastest lap award to get 1 championship point, a point. Okay. What happens? He comes out of the pits 34 seconds behind. Lewis Hamilton is now 34 seconds ahead. He's got more than enough time to come into the pits to take fresh tires and still come out 15 seconds ahead. They don't bring him in, and he blows a tire in the lead on the last lap. So he is halfway through the last lap, and he's got 3 tires. And he won by 5 seconds when he was up by 34 seconds. I don't know why these crew chiefs in Formula One get it wrong. They have the best engineers, the best technical setup guys. Their in-race strategy is laughable. They do this all the time. Ferrari has lost countless races over the years by doing dumb strategy stuff, not pitting at the right time. I don't know why they can't get this right, but bringing in Verstappen cost them a win. It just cost them a win. There was no reason to do it. Even the announcers were like, I don't know why you're bringing him in. That's silly. So, I mean, fireable offenses in a sport like that, to almost give away a win on one and then to give away a win for Red Bull was just, it's inexcusable. It's horrible. And now they're back at Silverstone this week again. And I would not bet this race because the temperatures are hot. The Mercedes cars do not do well in hot temperatures. That's not the way their cars are designed. And that blown tire is going to happen again. So they're going to have to go from a 1-stop to probably a 2-stop. If there's a race that Verstappen could sneak up and win, it's this one. So I would not bet on this one, despite the fact that Hamilton won. So there you go.
And Hamilton's minus 260 right now. Verstappen's the third favorite at plus 900. I mean, the second favorite's plus 450. Yeah, but that's the thing with F1 that keeps me away from it is you got a favor going off at minus 260, before we even have any data. But yeah, that's actually, Andy, that almost gets me watching F1. That sounds like one of the most exciting finishes in F1 history.
It was the previous hour and 45 minutes leading up to that was brutal.
Yeah.
So
very little passing, correct, and just 2 or 3 guys normally that can win the race, and that's about it.
And I got to pump one more thing.
Sure.
We debuted last Saturday. Wager Talk's live UFC show.
I was going to ask you, are you doing one? Thank you for bringing that up. I was going to ask you. Yeah, I forgot about
every
that.
UFC event we will broadcast live. We will be doing in-round betting. It's super laid back. I mean, we had so much fun. Hundreds of people came out for it. I couldn't believe how many people we had in there. We were, eating and drinking and talking life and talking betting and handicapping. We talked hockey. We talked the fighter that got COVID right before the fight. We talked about the fighter that passed out in the hallway walking to the ring and they had to cancel his fight. This whole thing stems from me and my buddy going to Hooters years ago. Every time they had a pay-per-view and watching it, and we kept saying this should be a show, just 2 guys hanging out in round betting. And so Johnny and Prez were nice enough to give us a shot. They okayed us on Saturday morning to do the show.
Yeah.
And it was a hit. And the card was garbage. The cards are going to be great. But yes, we are going to be doing this every Saturday
What
night.
time this Saturday? I'm putting it in the chat right now. 7 p.m. Eastern or so?
Yeah, it's normally 6 or 7. This one's on ESPN, so it's a fight night. You should have it on
maybe
basic
6.
cable. Yeah, I mean, we went for 5 hours. It was a long one, but
I actually viewed it a couple times. As you know, I chimed in a few times on and off. And yeah, I mean, you had a consistent stream of people coming in and out, but I had an over-under for how many hours you could go, Andy. And you cost me a good chunk of money because you just kept going like the Energizer Bunny.
We love
I had
doing
you
that.
at 2.5, I think, before you were face down or whatever. But what'd you go, 4+? No, I had the over. I had full fight. I had go the distance.
Take the over.
Oh yeah, I had everything.
Take the
over, full distance, no doubt, no knockdowns, no takedowns, everything, man. You came out strong. No, that was cool. I enjoyed watching that. I've been getting in more to UFC the last few years as well, and I think you found a real edge with the in-game betting, as we've talked about, all 3 of us. And for viewers out there, what Andy's doing, I mean, he's basically watching these games live, and he's recommending wagers in between rounds. And he's told both me and Rocky off the air that he's found value with that over the years. He watches how these flow. You get plus money still on guys that he thinks have a real edge. That's the beauty of in-game wagering in any sport nowadays, is you can kind of see what's going on and then make adjustments. So yeah, Andy, looking forward to that. I wanted to mention it again. So yeah, UFC Live, maybe when the first fight goes, 6 or 7 Eastern-ish, normally each Saturday night going forward. And yeah, we'll be back next Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, each and every week for the rest of the NASCAR season. We've got several months to go. Rocky Atkinson, sportsmemo.com. Andy Lang, wagertalk.com, and myself, Steve Merril, also wagertalk.com. Week 69, WEEK 69. Week 69 gets you 7 days all sports from any and all cappers that you want. Sportsmemo.com, wagertalk.com. Baseball up next with Andrew McGinnis at 2 p.m., and we'll be back next Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern live with NASCAR Life in the Fast Lane. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.